Hey folks, thanks for stopping by. And if it's your first time here, I appreciate it. Thank you for visiting. So I'm in the middle of prepping my tractor for winter use. So I've got to change all the fluids. I've got to grease everything up, set the rear snowblower up. So there's a lot of work to do on this. And one thing I'm going to do every winter now is grease up my tachometer gearing. There's been a lot of questions recently on social media about the squealing noise coming from the owner's Massey Ferguson GC Series tractor. This is a common problem. I found the problem kind of a long way. It took me 3 attempts to finally figure out what the problem was and repair it. So I'll go through the final step, what really needs to be done to fix the squealing. So what happens is when the weather gets cold, you'll get a squealing from the tachometer. And usually the tachometer needle will jump around. So my first thought was that the tachometer cable, which is down here, you can probably see it, and I'll zoom in later and show you this a little closer. But my thought was that the cable was binding up in the sheathing. So I squirted some graphite down into it one year, and that seemed to help a little bit, but not much. And then at some point, the cable actually snapped, and the very tip of the cable snapped off up here in the tachometer body. So I ended up replacing the entire tach cable. And I do have a video for that, and I'll put the link to that video down in the description. So that was my second attempt. First attempt was putting the graphite down the cable. That didn't work. Second attempt was replacing the cable. And I rerouted the cable. It's a very long cable, and I rerouted it, thinking that maybe there were some sharp bends in the cable that was preventing it from turning freely in the cold weather. So I rerouted the cable. That helped some, but I still had some squealing in the cold weather. So my final repair was to pack some grease into the gearing in the into the tachometer here. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to re-grease this for the winter, and I'll show you what I do. It's a very simple repair. So I'll show you what I do to pack this with grease. And since I've done that, I can't remember if it was last winter or the winter before that I did that, and I haven't had the squealing since then. So let's get into it, and I'll show you what I do. I'll move the camera in a little closer so you can see better. All right, so I'll take the tack cable off here, just unscrew it. All right, and then there are, I think it's just these 2 screws, Phillips head screws that have to come off. The scariest part is not dropping that screw. Hey, I did it. Did it without dropping 1 screw. We're halfway there. I probably shouldn't have said anything. I'll probably drop this screw now. All right, screw number 2. So we pull the back casing off here, and here's the worm gear in here. You can see that there's still grease in here from last time I packed it. But I'm going to put some more in it. I'll pack this full of grease in here. All right, so you can see the gear here. Keep getting in the way of the light. Let me switch hands here. So you see the gear there. Where am I? There we go. So I'll put some more grease in this and put it back together. Okay, so I'm going to try to get a little bit of grease down inside the gearing here. There's a little gap in between the gear and this flange here. I'm going to try to get some grease packed down in there first. All right. And I see inside here, it looks pretty clean. I'm going to clean the face of this a little bit. Maybe on here too, clean up the matching faces a little bit, get some of the dirt and grime off to have a better fit. So, I don't know if it was caught on the camera or not. I'll look for it later, but as I was wiping down the face here, the cover, the black piece of the housing, fell down between the battery and the radiator. So now I've got to go find it. But it was actually kind of a good thing because I forgot to clean my screen. And if you can see down inside there, there's a whole bunch of stuff down in there, a whole bunch of dirt, grass clippings, and dust and whatever. So I've got to clean that all out. I have a feeling that that black cover fell down in there somewhere. So I got to clean that out, and then we'll get back at it. All right, so the screen is cleaned up. I cleaned up the space between the battery and the radiator, got all the junk out of there, so that's all back together. And I found the piece here, the housing down in there, so I got that all cleaned up. Cleaned up all the threads here, cleaned up the slots in here, the grooves, and got that all cleaned up. Cleaned up the outside. So I'm going to pack a little grease in there, and then we'll put it back together. Alright, so I got a decent amount of grease in there, so that should help. So now comes the tricky part, and that's putting screws back in without dropping them and losing them. This is the scary part. Let's hope I can do it. All right, one's in. What do you know? They went in. I didn't drop one or lose one or anything. That's amazing, especially with a camera on me and people watching. All right, all back together. So let's see if the tachometer works now. So there you have it. If you have that squealing problem on your tachometer, packing that gearing for the tach should fix the problem. So quick job, just don't drop anything down between the radiator and the battery, and it'll only take you probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes to do, 15 minutes at the most. And don't drop those screws. So that's it. Hope this helps anybody with the squealing problem on the tachometer, and thanks for watching.